ahead and we are just going to start letting people into the Zoom class. So everybody, you know, whether you have your supplies or you're just watching along with us, go ahead and get settled. And we are going to get started. We'll just give everybody about another minute. Just wanted to let you know today we're going to be doing rainbow pouring. So we have some really fun different techniques for rainbows, how to pour them. And this is such an important symbol right now during this time. So we thought that it was really relevant, a great trend to be able to share with everybody. We have Lindsay who is going to be answering questions and comments. So please go ahead and ask questions. We'll try to answer them. Either she'll relay them to me and I can answer them on screen right to you, or she can chat with you. Also, if you comment during the live and you wait till the end, you're going to be entered to win $50 worth of Plaid product. So we will announce the winner live right before we end this class. So I hope everybody's getting in and getting settled. We are doing rainbow pouring today. And again, if you have any questions, Lindsay is going to be on to be able to help us and ask those questions. If you want me to do something again, or you have a question about a certain technique, let me know. We are going to be using our FolkArt pouring medium. And we also are going to talk about and use some pre-mixed pouring medium by FolkArt. So I just wanted to get everybody another second to go ahead and get settled, whether you're pouring along with us or you're watching this to get inspired and you're going to pour when you have some me time later to relax. All these videos, all our past videos, and this video will be available on michaels.com after. So again, if you're just watching or you need to go back and repeat, you can go ahead and check this out on michaels.com after. And thank you, Michaels. I definitely want to say thank you for letting us be a part of these classes. We've had a great response. We're so thankful for everybody taking time out of their busy day, and hope you're getting inspired. So I guess we can get started if everybody's getting in the Zoom.
Yeah, everybody's joining. They're super excited. They're ready to start. Okay,
awesome. So again, we have two different products at Michaels on michaels.com and in store. And they have some great options right now, either to order online or curbside, or I even have same day delivery in my area if you can't get into a store. So very easy to get this product. We are going to be using FolkArt pouring medium for the majority of our projects. And we also make a FolkArt pre-mix pouring medium. So pouring medium, and I'm just gonna, I know some people have probably, you know, attended some of our classes, but I'm just gonna do a little refresh if you're brand new to pouring. So pouring medium is what you mix with your acrylic paint, and it changes the paint so it doesn't all mix together when you're pouring and just create a brown blob. Like, it really keeps the paint separate enough to be able to swirl and really glide across your canvas. So it's very important that you have this product, whether it's the medium or pre-mixed when you're pouring. So again, the pouring, it comes in a 16 ounce, and you can mix it with any of your acrylic paints. Of course, we're using our favorite FolkArt. So you can personalize all your colors, and that's why I love this product, that you can, again, we're doing rainbow pours, so we can have one bottle of the pouring medium and then just our FolkArt paints, and we can mix those, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that, and you can create any color you want to pour with.
So Kyra, if they don't have pouring medium, is there anything else they can use?
Yeah, so really it is pouring medium that you need to do this project. But again, go ahead and watch and get inspired, and then you can pour along later. But the pouring medium is important, because even if you go ahead and pour on your canvas just with straight paint, it's gonna look pretty, but once it dries, it's gonna get muddy and settle. So I wouldn't want that for you, to spend all that time and waste all that paint without having the pouring medium. And we also make a pre-mix pouring paint. So we've already added the pouring medium to our acrylic paint. So there's a variety of colors, again, a full range, rainbow, and there's some metallics of colors. And this is already mixed, so you can use this right out of the bottle. Again, this is great for beginners. This is also great for kids. You know, if you don't want to mix and make the mess, again, I think the process is awesome for everybody. But this is a great way to do it also. And we're going to use a combination of both.
And we have some kids pouring along with us today, so yay.
It's funny, after like our other classes, I say, you know, you can hold up your finished project and you can see it, but pouring's hard because it still has to dry, so we don't ever get to see everything when it's done. So we hope everyone's enjoying.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so other things that I use when I'm pouring is, we're gonna be pouring on canvas. You can pour on a number of different surfaces. You can pour on wood, terracotta, ceramic tile, metal. You can see we have a variety of things in our around here. I'm just gonna do on canvas because it's really great for the class to pour on and maneuver around. We also, a lot of times if we're using smaller canvases, we use just these disposable baking pans. So these are really great. This is like a cookie sheet one. You can even use like a deeper pan. And if you have a smaller canvas, you can set it right in there and then it'll dry and it won't stick. We are also gonna use, I'm using plastic cups, so just disposable cups. You can use popsicle sticks or spoons. So again, if you want to, this all washes off with soap and water, so you can rinse them off after if you wanted to reuse your cups. And then we're also gonna use thumbtacks. So I'll show you in a second what this is for, but this is a handy little trick to always have these with you when you're pouring. It makes it easier.
So Kyra, are you using anything to prep your canvas before you start pouring?
Nope, this is a canvas. This is just an Artist Loft canvas right out of the packaging. There's nothing you need to do with it. And again, if you're pouring on wood, like an unfinished wood piece, you can go ahead and just pour right onto your wood. Also, we use a lot, you can reuse your canvases, and we do this a lot here in the studio. So say you have an old pour, an old painting, or an old piece of art and you want to change it up, you could just go ahead and pour right over that with the pouring paint and the pouring medium. It'll cover whatever artwork's under that. So that's a great way to recycle your old canvases.
Great. And we do have one more question. Once you mix the pouring medium with the paint, how long does that last? Like, can you store it and use it for several hours or a couple of days?
Yeah, so you can store it. You just want to make sure it's airtight. And I say about 24 hours. If you're going to keep it longer than that, but I would say 24 hours. And you can even put it in a mason jar, or a plastic container. Just you want to make sure that air can't get to it. You could even just take your cup and do some press and seal is really great because it creates a seal. You can absolutely go back and use it. And if you're worried about wasting your paint, I have a fun little trick I'm going to show you guys right now since we're talking about it before I get started. So this is something, like I said, we use these disposable baking pans, and this is dry. This has been poured before. But so after you pour your canvas and everything drips off, you've got a lot of paint. And you're like, oh, I wasted all that paint. What am I going to do with it? Well, we create paint skins. So literally you can pull this up off of your baking pan, your silicone mat, your parchment paper, and it doesn't stick. And you're literally creating a sheet of paper that you could go ahead and run it through your Cricut. You could cut it with an X-Acto knife. You could use scissors. You could stencil. You can wrap 3D objects. This is really great because it's hard to pour sometimes on 3D objects because think about it, you have to rotate it because all that paint's going to be dripping off. And I actually did this in a class, I think last week, but I'll take this off and show you guys. So this is just an old ceramic, little piece of decor that we have. And what you do is with the paint skin is you can cut this, and it's completely not sticky, cuts just with a pair of scissors. And then what you can do, I'm going to trim it a little bit here. It's sticking to itself. So if you are going to save these and store them, say you want to make a bunch or you have a bunch left, you want to make sure you keep them separate or you put parchment paper in between because they will stick to each other.
People are loving these paint skins. They're so cool.
What you do is you can just wrap it right around your round surface, and you can just use a little bit of Mod Podge. It's almost kind of sticky, but use a little bit of Mod Podge to glue and seal it right on there. And of course you would trim that, but that's just a great way to use up your extra paint. Also, if you wanted to do something larger or very intentional, I definitely want all these blues and I don't want to do a canvas, you could go ahead and use your extra paint, like you said, instead of saving it. Or you could just do a large pour and then use this just as a material to craft on. So, the day before, go ahead, do all your pours, and then come back, and then you can craft with this. So it's a really fun thing to do. I'm gonna set this right up here. There you go. Okay, so we are gonna actually do some rainbow pours. So I'm gonna take my canvas, and you also wanna cover your workspace because it is gonna get messy. I'm just using some poster board. You could cover it in garbage bags or, some kind of plastic, protection for your surface if you care about not ruining it because it won't come off. A lot of people wear gloves when they pour, but it's, hard to get gloves right now, and this all washes off with soap and water. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use my bare hands. And it's non-toxic, so it's safe for you, it's safe for your kids to go ahead and pour with it. So I'm going to take my canvas and I'm actually going to turn it over and I'm going to use these thumbtacks. And what you do is you just need 4 thumbtacks. And you go ahead and pop these in the back of your canvas because it's going to keep your canvas elevated off your surface and let your paint run around the edges. So it's going to actually run off and coat your edges. So you don't need to worry about painting your edges. So I'm just going to use, and these are just regular flat thumbtacks. And then when you're done, they won't hurt your canvas, your surface. You can just pop them out and they won't leave a hole or anything. So again, so it's like that just creates little legs. And it's also when you're doing certain types of pours, if you're doing a dirty pour and you have to get your arm under your canvas to flip it around, it really helps so your arm isn't getting stuck and you're getting paint all over your arm. So here's our canvas. And then we've actually gone ahead and pre-mixed a lot of the paints that we're going to use. We're going to do something similar to this. This is a rainbow pour that we did. And we're just going to talk about how to mix, and then we're just going to directly pour right on the canvas. And then after, we actually went and we added some Mod Podge rock crystals right to this canvas just to add a little bit of depth and some sparkle to it. So just something fun that you can add to all your pours. We've done some geode pours with this. You can see in the back that it's just a great way to kind of like plus out and add some sparkle to your canvas.
People love the push pins. That's always a highlight.
Good. So again, we pre-mixed these just to save a little bit of time, but I'm going to go ahead and mix one for you guys, just so you can see. So I'm just going to use a plastic cup, and I am going to, I'm just going to mix a blue since we're going to use blue later. So you want to do a 1-to-1 ratio of your FolkArt acrylic paint. And you can use multi-surface, you can use enamel, you can use specialties. So we've got Color Shift, Treasure Gold, any of those work with the pouring medium. And that's what's so great about the pouring medium. It also won't change the finish of your paint. So if you're using it with Treasure Gold, your Treasure Gold's gonna be just as metallic as it was out of the bottle when you mix it with the pouring medium. So I am just gonna fill that up. And then for your pouring medium, you wanna do a 1-to-1 ratio. You don't need to really shake this, but I just kind of give it a little swirl out of the bottle. And then I am just going to pour this directly in my cup in about a 1-to-1 ratio. And once you do it a couple times, you get the feeling of what the consistency should be. I'm going to take a plastic spoon. Again, you can use a popsicle stick. And I'm just going to stir this. And you can see it looks creamy and milky, but it's going to mix in. And you want to make sure there's no lumps or bumps and it's like really, really mixed well. And if it's too thick or too thin, you can always add, paint into it. If it's too thin, if that pouring medium, it really does water your paint down. You can see how thick it was coming out of the bottle. Or vice versa, if it's too thick, once you start mixing it, you can add pouring medium. So it's
Kyra, sorry, how much paint do you usually use for any given size canvas? Like how much are you gonna need?
So it depends on the size of your canvas. So these were all about a bottle of 2 ounce. You can see I just emptied the bottle. Now what I would do is I'd take and leave this upside down to use next time we're on another project. But really our bigger like 8 ounce or 16 ounces, this is an 8 ounce. These are really great for larger canvases and you can get multiple pours out of this. For this, we're just using our 2 ounce and you're gonna use a decent amount of paint. I won't use all of this. I'll probably use about half of all these colors. So you can see I have this stirred. And then you can see that you want it to be the consistency of syrup. So you want it just to run off of your spoon.
So pretty.
Yeah, so these are all pre-mixed. And if you mix them, and we've let these sit, so they're kind of thickening up. And again, another tip is if you do want to save this, so say I'm going to, cover this and come back to it tomorrow. If it gets too thick from sitting, you can go ahead and add a little bit more pouring medium into it. Okay, so I'm just going to give these a stir.
People are loving all of these gorgeous colors.
Good. Lots of rainbows everywhere right now.
Yeah.
And a rainbow can be anything you want. We've done neon, we've done pastels. It doesn't just have to be your traditional like Kelly green and your bright red. It could be anything you want and personalize it. I actually said before we started, we should have done a neon one, but I didn't grab the paints here. And, you know, instead of a red, we're using more, these are kind of like the bold colors. So we've got more of a magenta, a lavender, and an aqua. So changing it up a little bit, you know, is a great way to do it. Okay, and then we have some white, and I mixed up a giant batch of white here. And so for white, you still need to use white paint. You don't want to use just the pouring medium right out of the bottle. You still want to mix it with your white paint. And then also something to think about is when you're doing, you know, adding your, or picking your color palette, like we're doing rainbow, and there's certain types of pours that are better for rainbows, but you typically, like picking a color palette really helps. So like we like to do all blues or all warm colors. It really helps get a beautiful pour. All greens, all reds. So that's something to think about. And you typically want to use about 4 to 6 colors of paint. So again, we're doing a lot of rainbows, so we're doing a lot of colors, but in my typical pour that I do, it's like 4 to 6 colors is like safe. Always add a white or a black. That's a great tip also. It helps break up your color. It kind of, you know, brings in a neutral, and a little bit of the dark goes a long way. So you can put a little bit of black in there and it can overpower it. So you can always go back and add more, but you don't want to just dump a ton of black in anything you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to start on this, and this is just a very simple, we're going to pour right out of the cups onto this canvas. So we're going to start, I'm going to start on the corner, and typically we would either do a direct pour or a dirty pour, and we would really swirl it. This one, we're just going to let it kind of glide to create like the arches of the rainbow. So I'm going to start, and I am just going to pour, and you're going to go right over the edge. So I got my white, and I'm going to take my magenta, which again, this is going to replace my red, which is totally fine. You can personalize this even though it's rainbow. We're going to pour right along the white. So you want them to touch and overlap. And I'm going to do kind of like a zigzag. I'm going to go yellow. And again, you can have that yellow and do a zigzag and have it touch that magenta. You guys, I did the wrong colors. Orange is first. Huh, how about that? All right, well, that's okay. Yellow, orange, it's all the same.
It's still beautiful.
It's still beautiful. It's still a rainbow. Like I said, it could be anything you want. All right, I'm going to take my green. And again, don't worry about that green touching the orange. You're like, uh-oh, but because of the pouring medium, it's not going to mix. It's just going to swirl, so it's not going to get muddy, and it's going to be okay. Then we have this beautiful aqua color. I love this and the green together. It's so pretty. And again, see, I'm using a good bit of paint. I'm being very generous so you guys can see it very well. You know, if I was doing this, I might use a little bit less, and you can always go back and add more. And then I'm going to do this really pretty purple next. And you can go right over the edge. And again, you get messy, but that's what's so great about the thumbtacks. It keeps it off of your workspace. So it allows it to drip over the edge. You can even add, and I don't have any mix, but you can even add some gold to the end of this, like the gold at the end of the rainbow would be really pretty.
Oh, that's
or
a great idea.
Rock crystals and put them at the bottom of your rainbow to be kind of like your pot of gold. All right, and then I'm gonna finish this up with white right on the bottom here. And I'm allowing to leave, or I'm letting some of the canvas show. I'm not going right to the end because you want to allow some movement, because remember, this paint is going to start moving over your canvas and some of it's going to fall off. So it's not all going to remain on your canvas. So make sure you guys can get a good view of this. I can actually see the overhead camera. Okay, so now instead of like a typical swirl, we're just going to tilt. And I'm going to have to tilt away from you guys. So you are just going to tilt, and then you can kind of go back.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, and so I'm like liking that, but I want to add a little bit more white, like I said, to get a little bit more movement. So I'm going to take white, I'm going to add it right, and you can just pour right over this. And if you don't like it, you could pour it right off. I kind of like to see a little bit white coming in on these colors. Ooh, that's a lot of white. Okay. So again, you can just move these all around and really get the pattern and the design that you want. So that white got a little streaky. You can just let that run off. See how easy? It's very forgiving, and there's no right or wrong, and every pour is gonna look different. So you could even go down this way. So that's just a fun, very bold graphic rainbow pour.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then what I would do, like I said, after, and again, this is a mini version and everyone is different. We just went ahead and we added our Mod Podge rock salt right onto the canvas after, just to like give it a little bit of shine and dimension.
People love that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna move this guy. And we're gonna do a new technique, and actually, this is the first time I'm doing this new technique, so I'm excited. So hopefully it goes well, guys. Does anybody have any questions?
They're just all really excited. Some people are pouring along with us. It's fun to see, and they are just really enjoying your class, Kyra.
I'm glad everybody is enjoying, and hopefully this is relaxing, and I think it's a great process, right? Like just the pouring and getting to, you know, mess with the paint, and there's no right or wrong. It's you know, tips and tricks, but you can really create your own piece of art. You can see behind us how many different ways that you can pour and, you know, follow along, or you can create your own technique, but this product is amazing.
We do have a couple of questions now. So if you did a dirty pour with the rainbow colors, would that come out the same way? Like, what would be the difference?
Yeah, I can do a really quick one if everyone's okay, if we're okay on time. Like I said, I want to do what everybody wants to see. That's what's so great about this, is that we can interact. So I'm happy to do like a little baby dirty pour if we want to see that, because I wasn't planning on doing a dirty pour.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay, great. So I just have lots of canvas back here. So again, I'm just gonna stick my thumbtacks in. I'll kind of go fast. So a dirty pour for you, you guys that don't know, it's when you take your cup and then you pour, you layer your paint, your pouring medium and your paint that's already mixed in your cup. And then you take it and you actually dump your paint onto your canvas. So it creates a completely different look. So I'm gonna take my cup and my canvas, and I'm gonna use the same colors, and I am gonna try to go in order this time. So remember also, the first color you put in the bottom, that's the last one that's gonna come up on top. And because of the pouring medium, these paints, you can pour them in a cup together and they're not gonna blend, which is amazing. It's gonna look like nothing once it's in the cup. Oh, I'm gonna grab orange here first. So I've got my magenta orange. You guys can see that. So it may look like it's mixing, but it's not going to mix. And again, I typically stick with 4 or 6 colors, but for this rainbow pour, it's just really fun, and it's a, you know, just a sign of hope. And I think you can just get really creative with this one. There's no rules on this one. Okay. So I'm gonna add my green right in there. Don't be afraid.
So how long do these typically take to dry, Kyra?
So 24 hours. So I would let it dry overnight, 24 hours. It depends how thick your paint's on there, but 24 hours. And you don't need to seal it. That's a question we get asked a lot. If you're just using it for like decorative purposes, like behind us, there's no reason that you, drink back here, sorry guys. No reason you need to seal it, but if it's something that you're using a lot, and say it's a coaster, we've done those before, or it's you know, something that's going to be handled a lot or go outside, you would want to seal it. And we actually recommend our Mod Podge. So any of our Mod Podges work great as a sealer. We also have a Mod Podge aerosol available at Michael's. And that makes a great thing to seal, like say you're pouring rocks, right? That's a huge trend. People are decorating rocks and leaving them. You could just pour all your rocks, let them dry, and then go ahead and hit them with this Mod Podge, and it's gonna seal it and protect it so it doesn't get ruined. And I'm gonna actually add a little bit of white in here also. Okay, so you can see it looks like nothing. And here's the magic. Sorry, I'm using baby wipes. This is also great to have on hand, especially if you're not using gloves. And even if you are using gloves, it's just nice to keep your hands clean if you're doing multiple pours. So we just have some baby wipes handy. So this is a dirty pour. I've gone ahead and I've layered all the paints in here. You're gonna turn your canvas upside down. And you wanna center it. I'm gonna make sure you got the center. Then you're gonna hold it tight and you're going to flip it upside down. And then again, the tacks are nice because it allows you to slide your hand out. And then you are going to lift.
Woo.
So yeah, there you go. Then you can just swirl around. And again, they mix a little bit, but they're still not super muddy. And you can see that really pretty magenta in there. We've got a lot of green in there. So there's the magenta and the yellow. So it's gonna be a completely different look. And that's really the difference between the dirty pour and the direct pour, which we did first, is that your colors, they're not gonna mix, but they're gonna be more muted and more, they kind of swirl together more and create a different look. If you do a direct pour, you're gonna get those really bright, vivid colors and lines. So definitely a difference in the two pours. And if you're like, oh, I don't like that, it's really green, all you need to do is you need to go back and you could add, you know, your magenta right back in there, and you can just go ahead and add that right in there. And you can even layer it. That's a lot of magenta, but I'm just showing you, and you can move it around. So say you just wanted like a little tip of it to be magenta, and you can see the more you move it around, the more that you like manipulate the colors and the look. So like, I kind of like that little tip, and you would go all over your canvas, and it's getting really pretty here with the rainbow. So, and again, you could go and add some more, even what's left in your cup, you could add that right back onto there, and there's some of that green and the orange. And you can just keep swirling that. So it's kind of endless what you can create. I kind of like that look. So again, just a different look.
Could you do something like this on glass?
Yes, you could do it on glass or ceramic. I would recommend pouring with our multi-surface or enamel paint if you're going to do it on glass. So yeah, like ceramic or glass tiles are great to pour on, but again, use multi-surface and enamel, and if you're gonna actually use them, I would go ahead and seal them with Mod Podge is a great sealer for this.
And dishwasher safe Mod Podge would be great for like coffee mugs and
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
something like that.
Yep, or the paint skins also. So if you're worried about that round mug or glass, you could do the paint skin and then seal it with the dishwasher safe Mod Podge.
That would be perfect.
Okay, so I'm gonna cover this again. I'm just using poster board here to protect the surface. I've got a big guy here, a really long canvas. So this one we're gonna use string and a dowel rod to create a rainbow. Okay, so again, I'm gonna elevate my canvas, hope everybody can see that. And then I am going to mix, let's see, I have some orange paint left. And I'm gonna use a combo so you guys can see. I'm gonna use the pre-mixed and I'm gonna use the pouring medium to create a rainbow. So my canvas is ready to go. I'm also gonna use a palette knife and I have a dowel rod. You could even use a ruler or a longer paintbrush will work. We happen to have a dowel rod in the studio to create this pour with. And then I'm just using yarn, and I've gone ahead and pre-cut. This is just regular old, you know, knitting yarn that we had. You can use any color. And you want to go ahead and cut it to be about 2 or 3 inches longer on each side of your canvas. I don't know if you can see that. So I've already pre-cut this. So you want to cut your yarn so it lays over your canvas. And you want to have enough yarn for how many colors of paint. So I'm going to do the rainbow. So I have a piece of yarn that I'm going to lay in each color of my rainbow. So we're going to start at the top. And like I said, I'm going to use the pre-mixed and the regular, and they are interchangeable. So you can use either one.
Would you recommend the pre-mixed for like a beginner, someone who's just learning how to pour?
Or again, it's just great to have on handy. Like you don't want to mix up a big batch. You can just go ahead and have this on hand. And this is great for the basics. So you could just do a combo like, hey, these are my basic colors I always have to pour with. And then these are like my more fun or specialties even. You could look at it that way. But they work completely together, just like the pouring medium we just did. You can do dirty pour, direct pour, all that with these pre-mixed pouring mediums or pre-mixed pouring paint. Okay, so I'm going to use red, and I'm going to start at the top of the canvas. And again, oh, sorry, one step I forgot to tell you guys. I'm going to take white paint that we've mixed with our pouring medium. So this is just the white. We've gone ahead and mixed up a ton, and I'm going to coat my canvas with white. So this is a technique that we use a lot in pouring because again, it helps the paint flow all over the canvas. So I'm gonna pour this on there and we mixed up a bunch, and that's why you need the palette knife. And you're just gonna, this helps you spread it. You don't have to do this. You could use a paintbrush, but the palette knife is really nice just to spread this white pouring medium and paint all over your canvas. And this, again, this is great for techniques. We've done some with a hair dryer and blowing with a straw. This is great because it really allows that paint to flow right over the canvas and let those colors move around. So that's something you want to do. And you don't need to do it on all. When I'm just doing a regular direct pour or dirty pour, this isn't necessary, but this really helps with this technique. You just want to get it, it's like icing a cake. You want to just get a good, even layer.
I was going to say, it looks like frosting. It's delicious.
It does. Does that smell like frosting? All right. And you just want to get it as even as you can. It does not have to be perfect.
So is that just a standard 1-to-1 mixture of white and the pouring medium?
Yes. So again, it's just 1-to-1 no matter what acrylic paint you're using with the pouring medium. So this is just our white FolkArt and this is the pouring medium. I'm just smoothing this out. It's really shiny. Okay, and don't worry about your sides unless you can always hit them. If you want them to be white, you could take, again, just like icing a cake, you could hit them around the edge because this technique, we're not gonna swirl the paint, so you aren't gonna get your sides. So you can also go back and finish these off when you're done if you wanted them to be a specific color. You'll see in a second when I do the technique. Okay, so that is covered. And again, this is just, you could wash off your palette knife, no problem, wipe it off with a baby wipe, soap and water, it'll come right off. And now I'm gonna take the pre-mixed pouring medium and I'm gonna do the colors of the rainbow and I'm gonna do a combo. I think I have enough of everything. I could stop and mix some if we need. So I'm gonna do a line of red and I wanna start at the top about, I don't know, inch or two down, and we're gonna just do a line of paint. It's gonna be a decent, probably about an inch of paint we're doing because of this canvas is so long. So red, we got our orange again. So changing it up, this is our pouring medium with our orange paint already mixed. And we want to do a stripe. You want to run right over the edge. And we're going to do yellow. And then we're going to do green, and I can actually go in and I could use our pre-mixed again, our green. So this is a different shade of green. It's more like a tealy green.
Can you tell us what size canvas that is that you're pouring on?
Oh gosh, what size do you think this is, Dylan? Somebody asked this last time too. Like 12 by 24?
Looks right to me.
Yep, so this technique is really great for, it's really great with like a long rectangular canvas. So like square, this would work, but I really like the length of this. Okay, so I need blue, and I've got this pretty bright blue that we mixed up at the beginning. And then we've got our purple, and I'll go back to our pre-mixed pouring paint. Then I'm going to take our yarn, and I've gone ahead and pre-cut this. And again, you want it just to be long enough that it hangs over both edges of your canvas. And you're going to set it right into your stripe of paint. So you just want to lay those right there. Again, you guys are going to get messy.
People can't wait to see how this turns out.
I know, me too. Oh, I gotta cut one more string. There you go. So I'm just gonna grab my yarn. Where did I put my scissors, guys? We are losing everything today. This is the beauty of a live, I guess, though. Do we have any scissors? I just had a pair. Oh, I got it. I just ripped it. It's fine. So just one more piece there. And then we're just gonna go back over with the paints and we're gonna cover our string. So you just want to add a little bit more paint and cover your string. It doesn't have to be completely covered. You just want to make sure that it's got a little bit of paint on all sides of the yarn or the string that you're using.
Is there a name for this particular technique?
You know what? Not that I know of, but we could totally let you guys name it. I don't know, we're just including it as I've seen this technique done before and we thought it would be great. I've seen it done a million different ways that it would be so great with a rainbow pour. All right, so we're just gonna cover this.
Someone said string pouring would be a great name.
String pouring, I love it.
We also have string pour art.
Or art. I think that's actually just what it's called. Again, a lot of the terminology is interchangeable, like dirty pour, straight pour. So, okay, so we've got all our strings on our canvas, and now we're gonna take our dowel rod. And again, I'm just using, you could use a ruler, you could use a paintbrush. You just want something that you're able to pull and drag these strings. So we're gonna take our dowel rod, we're going to stick it at the very top of the canvas, right in the center, and we are just going to pull. So you're basically pulling your string along with you. So we're gonna pull straight down.
Wow.
Woo! Ah! All right, there you go, guys.
Amazing.
Beautiful. You could do it with any color. I love it with the rainbow. We've got a string left in there, and you can just pull that guy right off. So that is a super fun technique. You could do it with metallics. You could, this would be beautiful, huge. You could even do it, you could coat your canvas in black, and you could do it with metallics. That would be a great way to do it also. So this is just a really fun technique to do. So I love how this turned out.
That looks amazing.
Awesome. I'm so excited. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this guy?
No, they're just impressed with it.
I'm excited to see when he dries.
Yeah.
I like that all my paintings are boys. There we go. Okay, so one more time. Let me grab this guy. Okay, we're gonna cover our surface again. Okay, and then we're just gonna do some basic puddle pouring. I thought this would just be fun to do with the rainbows. And then if anybody wants to see the Mod Podge rock salt, I have that here too. I know it's not part of our pouring, but if anybody's interested, let Lindsay know and we could whip up a quick batch, or we can talk about that too. It just always works well with all these pours. Okay, I'm gonna grab 12 by 12 canvas. Again, stick my little push pins in. And this is just another very simple technique. You can change it up. Again, these are just ones that I thought that work well with so many colors. Okay, so we are gonna do a petal pour. And let's see, we have a ton of colors. I feel like we can keep using these. So this also, you guys can see how many pours we can get out. So I showed you these cups were not even half full, and that's how much we've gotten done. And I've been using a lot of paint, so it shows up really well. So you can get a lot out, and those are, you know, 3 or 4 big canvases that we did. Also something that you can do, this is really fun for a petal pour. So we have this beautiful color shift paint, which it shifts in the light. So it's like purple and iridescent. It's really pretty, and just a ton of fun colors of this. And we've gone ahead and mixed these up in just a squeezy bottle. Again, you could do it right out of your cup. It would work exactly the same way. But this is just another fun way, especially even with kids. This is a fun thing to do. So these are just like inexpensive squeezy bottles, and you can pour directly on your canvas. You could go ahead and coat this in white, coat it in black, and we're gonna do a puddle pour. So I'm gonna add a little bit of white to my canvas again. Again, I just like this adding the white. It just, again, makes that paint flow. You saw when we pulled those strings, it didn't grab, it just glided right over the canvas. So I'm gonna cover him in white. If you don't have a palette knife or anything, you could just swirl this white and just get a good coat on it. I'm just using a palette knife because we have them here. This is something fun too, if you just wanted to pour your paint on there and then just take your palette knife and kind of swirl it around with your palette knife to create like an abstract. This would be a great way to do that. You could add your paint directly onto the canvas and then just, you know, take your palette knife and move it around. We've used a comb, like a hair comb before to do that, or a straw to blow your colors around, and it really works great. Oh, I even have some orange in my white. See, surprise there.
We're getting lots of votes for seeing the rock salt crystals.
Okay, perfect. Well, let me just, I'm gonna puddle pour this real quick, and then I'll show you guys. I grabbed it, you know, right before we got started. It was, I was like, oh, we always talk about this, and it's a fun thing to show, especially with all the rainbows. Okay, so again, this is our color shift, a specialty just mixed with our FolkArt pouring medium. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. We went ahead and put these in the squeezy bottles. This is a fun thing to do with puddle pouring. And a puddle pouring is when you create like rings of color and then you swirl it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start pouring this. You wanna create a circle. And I am just squirting this right out. So I'm gonna do like 3 of these. You put it right over the white that's on there and it's not gonna mix. And we have this beautiful aqua color again. And you just pour that right directly in the center of your first circle.
So people want to know, oh, sorry. People want to know when you started pouring and what got you into it.
Yeah, so someone asked this question last time. So I've been at Plaid here for almost 7 years, and really about when I started, pouring really became a trend, you know, in the past couple of years, and we started doing it for content, and then we came out with this great product line. So the past couple of years, we've been doing a lot of pouring, and I've been doing a ton of pouring now for Michael's, which is really great. It's really fun and relaxing. I told the story too. My son is 8 and he grabbed a bunch of paint that I had at the house and he wanted to pour. So he just started putting it on the canvas and he was so sad that it got so muddy. I was like, oh buddy, we got to get you some pouring medium. Like I owe that to you working for Plaid. So yeah, it's just a really fun thing to do, whether, you know, like I do it for work, but also for fun. And then you want to just keep adding your paint right into your dots, and you can do as many layers as you want. I know you guys want to see the rock salt, so I'll keep going on this. And again, this is color shift, so you could use metallic, you could use glitter, you could use treasure gold is really great with the pouring medium. I'm just going to add a pop of this orange. And again, this is just the 1-to-1 ratio, but we went ahead and put it in a squeezy bottle. So just another technique, another way to get the paint right on your canvas.
Could you do something like this on a shirt or a bag?
You could do it on a shirt or a bag. So I would use our FolkArt multi-surface paint. Okay. So that's great for fabric, but you would mix it the same way, and you could do the 1-to-1 ratio with the multi-surface. Okay. So again, and you could just even go back if you wanted to mix. I know this isn't color shift, but you could add a little bit of white right back in there, right the center. This is kind of like that mandala dot painting that's so popular now too. So just hit those. That's a lot. Again, you get a little bit, a lot, it's fine. And then because we've got that white base on there, it's just gonna swirl. And then we're just gonna actually swirl in these rings. So you can keep the rings intact. It depends how much you move it, but it's just a totally different look.
Someone said it looks like a peacock. It kind of does.
Cells. We always talk about cells. People ask, this is kind of a way to create large cells on your canvas. And again, a totally different vibe and look. And this is just with color shift, so it's gonna be really shiny when it's done. So yeah, just a different look that you can get. So there you go.
Beautiful.
Okay, and then do we have time to show the rock salt real quick if people wanna see?
I think people want to see it.
Awesome. Thanks guys for sticking along, and I hope you're having fun if you're pouring with us or you're just watching this to get inspired. Again, all these classes, we've done a whole series. We've done geode pours, we've done some pouring 101, we have done the rainbow now. We're doing a galaxy pour next week, so that'll be really fun. Creating some like cosmos and stars, be really pretty. Okay, so the rock salt, the Mod Podge rock salt I'm talking about, as you can see, it's a great addition to all your pouring projects. I love it. There's so many different uses. You can make jewelry out of it. You can add it, you know, to a ton of different things to embellish, but I love it on the pouring. So basically what you do, and I'm just going to use some parchment paper here. And this is what you're creating, so you guys can see. So these are, it's Mod Podge, rock salt, and glitter. So if you guys can see, this is what we're creating. We're actually creating these crystals with just the Mod Podge and the glitter. So we are going to, and I'm just going to use a plastic cup again. And we are using just everyday ice cream salt. And this is really great right now because of summer. You can get this, you know, at any of your local grocery stores. They should have it right there. So we're using rock salt, a plastic cup, and then we're using Mod Podge gloss. So Mod Podge gloss works the best with this. You could use any formula, but I like the gloss because it has that really good shine when you mix it with the glitter. So we're going to do 1 spoonful of Mod Podge, and I'm just using a plastic spoon, so that's how precise. 1 spoonful, plastic spoon of Mod Podge right in your cup. And then we're going to do a glitter, and you could do a whole rainbow, you know, assortment of glitters to match your rainbow pours. So I'm going to use, this is pretty blue. So then you're going to do 1 spoonful of glitter, and I'm going to use the same spoon, and it's really important that you mix your glitter and your Mod Podge together first before you add your rock salt. So you just want to get that really mixed well, that the glitter is all through the Mod Podge. So that's a really important step. So it's 1 spoonful of Mod Podge, 1 spoonful of glitter, mix that together. Then I am going to get a different spoon, and I have rock salt here. You're going to take, and this is just right out of the box, 5 spoonfuls of rock salt. There's about 5 there, so 5 of those. And then you're going to mix the rock salt right in the cup. And you want to just make sure you coat the rock salt. And the Mod Podge is not going to break down the rock salt. It's not going to deteriorate. We've made these rock salts that we have that I showed you guys. These are over a year old, and they're still completely intact.
We do have a question. Will the Mod Podge lighten the color?
It will not. So all our Mod Podge dries clear. So again, even though it comes out of the bottle creamy and milky, it's going to dry completely clear, and you're just going to get that beautiful glitter shine. So all you do then, you coated this really well. Then you're just going to use your parchment paper. Also, like a silicone baking sheet works, or you can use your baking pan. You're just going to lay it out to dry. And you could do larger piles, you could do smaller piles. Just you want to get this out, you want it to dry, again, 24 hours overnight. If it's a larger piece, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, or if you create like a giant heap, then sometimes I go and I flip it over just to make sure the air gets underneath and dry so the Mod Podge isn't wet. Also, if you make a big piece and you need some little pieces, you can just snap them off. So even though they're stuck together and it's no mess, that Mod Podge seals it right in, you can go ahead and snap that apart and make it the size you need. So if you're adding it to your paintings, you can just kind of break these to line your paintings.
And would you let your paint pour dry before you add the geocrystals?
Yes, so I would let my paint pour dry. Once you have a dry, here's this paint pour. So I would allow this to dry, but you can put your rock crystals on your canvas wet. So this would be dry, but you could literally take this, and because it's Mod Podge, it's going to act as a glue also. You could scoop this and pour it right onto your canvas and let that dry, and it'll dry attached right to it. If you have dry crystals and a dry canvas, then you can just use Mod Podge as your glue and your sealer all in one, and you can use it. You could just take a paintbrush and paint your Mod Podge on and stick your rock crystals right on there, and it'll dry. You can also take some of your loose glitter, you know, same color, different color. There's a lot of different fun shapes and sizes and glitters now, and you can sprinkle it right over your rock crystals just to add some more sparkle or contrast. So you can see in this one, we added, it's pretty aqua, we added some big gold flakes. So that's something fun you could do. You could also mix them all together. So you could do a rainbow, you know, really big geode would be fun. So that is it. And then you just let that dry. And then again, I just got tons here. We did this class a couple of weeks ago, but this is what you end up with, just these awesome rock crystals. And you can add them to, you can do jewelry, bracelets, but again, it's so great for all your pours. And I love this for rainbow because you could just set out all rainbows of your glitter and go ahead and make all these rock crystals. It's just like a great addition. You could see we've done, this was a great, we did a class, and you can check this out on michaels.com. We did a geode pour. And we used the FolkArt pouring medium, we used treasure gold, and then we added this gold rock crystal to it. So does anybody have any other questions?
I think everybody's just really thankful for the class. They said you're doing a great job and you're a really good teacher.
Thanks. We're so happy to be here and hope we're inspiring everybody. And again, thank you for having us. If you have any questions before we go, let us know. Lindsay is going to pick a winner at random from your comments. And what we want you to do once we announce your name, if you're the winner, to go to our Plaid Facebook page and direct message us and let us know that you won. And we will go ahead and get a hold of you and contact you and get your product out to you. Through everybody that has commented is entered to win $50 worth of Plaid product. And we will be live again next Monday. We have Jessie on Michael's community classroom. Jessie's going to be teaching Let's Paint. I'll be back next Wednesday doing a galaxy pour, which will be really fun. So we've got a lot of classes coming up, and I know Michael's is going to get those all posted so you guys can get registered. So Lindsay, do you want to pick the winner?
We have a winner picked at random, George Wu.
Hey, George. Well, congratulations.
Congrats.
Go ahead to Facebook, find our Plaid Crafts Facebook page, send us a message, and we'll make sure we get your prize out to you. So, all right, well, thank you everybody for joining us for Rainbow Pouring. We hope you were inspired and you learned a lot, and have fun pouring. Hopefully this weekend you can get your supplies. If you don't already have them, grab them at michaels.com or, get them at your store, and we hope everybody enjoyed, and thanks for having us.